my long hair. You know what I need? You know what I need?
Cap!
I don't want to spend this intro doing my hair. I look like a nerd already. You know how long has it been since I've done a Spider-Man video? Once again, stepped into culture. I am wearing the cultured MTV drip. That show that people praise but not enough people do. And unfortunately on Disney Plus, that and Spectacular Spider-Man is out of order. I will never understand you, Disney. I wanted to put a West Side Live and do a tier list video, but like, I never thought of a good topic, or at least a good first topic to do. And then I'm like, you know what? Find a Peter Parker one. I want to do a Peter Parker tier list because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions or things I want to get off my chest about Peter Parker. Didn't watch, don't remember. Mid, meh. A lot of people would say trash, but I won't say trash. Decent, great, goated, and the GOAT. Now I know people are like, wait, what about the goated and the GOAT? Goated is like top tier versions, and the GOAT is just like the number one. There's only one person that could be on that. Let's start at the beginning one last time. Earth 67. Also, I want to get a lot of things off my chest about the Spider-Verse, which by the way is a 9 out of 10. I don't care what any of you say, it's a 9 out of 10. By the way, Miguel O'Hara, I can never hear the older Miguel O'Hara the same way again, because now I'm used to Oscar Isaac's version of the character. Like, sure, he's Spider-Man, but like now that I hear the serious, mopey version of him, he's like, the Chad version of him was just like, yeah, because I've been watching Dante's Spider-Man playthroughs, which are fire. I don't watch enough episodes, but I do remember what it's like in the Peter Parker role. My dad watched the show as a kid, so I'm gonna put him on meh. He's not like, I won't recommend as don't watch, because I've watched at least a couple episodes, and I do remember how it is. It is mid, of course, because he barely has any character. He's just there, and then turns to Spider-Man. I'll put him on mid. The only reason I put him on decent is because how funny he was in the Spider-Verse movies, but in general, he's just mid, unfortunately. He just does stuff, but doesn't really have any character. Now this one, I've never seen. I heard it's trash, but I feel like he would be like mid if I actually watched it, but I haven't watched it, so I can't tell. I watched it, don't remember. I would like to see it, you know? This, Spider-Man's Made Friends, never watched, fortunately. Now, the voice of this is the voice of Miguel O'Hara in the video games. Fun fact, yes, I'm a freaking nerd. The original Miguel O'Hara, I would like to see the show, but I don't think I'd be a fan of it. I think it'd be mid, honestly. Like Super Friends-esque type thing. Bro, I rewatched Super Friends, the first episode, with my sister, and we just stopped. We were like, oh, let's rewatch it for fun time's sake. And it was horrible. It was dreadful. It was dreadfully illogical. I get it's a kid's thing and nothing should make sense, but it just rotted our brains. I'm sorry. And it sucks because I did love it as a kid, but whatever. 90s Spider-Man, aka Spider-Man Noir for the video games. Now, I will say this. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do this, but the last time we saw this guy, he was in the freaking multiverse with Madam Web. Maybe that's the reason why he hasn't been in Spider-Verse yet. For a little bit of time, like if time passes differently with universes, why won't he just at least cameo or be a character in the third movie? Maybe that's why they're holding him out. Like, you got Josh Keaton's cameo, you got his cameo. You haven't got his, because obvious reasons I'll explain later. You got Spider-Man Unlimited already. Maybe people rumored about this guy. This guy's nowhere to be seen. But this guy is obviously a very prominent Peter Parker, and he hasn't been a part of anything at all. So maybe that's the reason why he hasn't been a part of it, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I won't be surprised if he's not there. But it would be dope if that's the reason they're saving him. They're saving him for the third movie. Like the third cameo. Like the first one was this guy, the second one was this guy, and now the third one should be this guy. That would be amazing. That would be a full circle moment. But for him, he's decent. Like I could see the appeal. I've seen some episodes. I've seen some moments online. He is a meme at times with Shocker, which by the way, it would be a crime if they don't do it in Spider-Man 2. He's much of a Chad. He literally just looks like a Ken doll. Am I the only one who just looks at 90s Peter Parker and be like, oh my god, you're a freaking Ken doll. You're built like a Ken doll. I don't get it. I'm very indecisive. Like, he could be great. No, he is great because of like, there were moments, obviously some moments with him and the little girl. There were some other stuff there. Spider-Man Unlimited, I haven't watched this show. From what I heard, it's trash or weird. But I actually want to give this show a chance. I want to see what it's actually like. Even if I don't end up becoming a fan of this Peter Parker or whatever, I want to see what the show's like. Because I'm very curious to see how it is. MTV Spider-Man, underrated, bro. He's great, bro. Wait. Yeah, he's great. You know what? He's great. Look, if he would have had more room, if he had one more season, he could have been goated. Cap. But he didn't get to finish his first season. Maybe that's the reason he's not in Spider-Verse. Spoilers for that underrated show, by the way. It's still sad that this show is underrated as freak. So underrated that this guy doesn't even have a cameo in Spider-Verse. That's how you know there are not enough people talking about him. You get people rumor about this guy, but not this guy. Like, I mean, I guess the only reason why he can't make it to the Spider-Verse is because he quit at the end of the first season, and the show was canceled after that. It's a crime, bro. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. It really is. Like, if I want to bring any show back, this is like what I call the Andrew Garfield of Spider-Man animation. Like, this guy should have had a comeback. This guy should have a sequel. But they probably will never do it. I mean, they're probably more likely to do this guy back because of X-Men. I wish he'd come back, bro. Neil Patrick Harris was underrated as Spider-Man. At least in this role. Ultimate Spider-Man, now, he's decent. Now, I know a lot of people despise the show. Okay, I get it. Okay, it's too goofy. But Spider-Man, to some degree, for the most part, is almost like Batman. Where it's like, if you put Batman in any scenario, it's Batman. That's it. But for the most part, if you put Spider-Man on almost any interpretation, as long as it's in the realm of what he does or how he acts, it's still Spider-Man. It's still the Spider-Man show. It's decent. I've seen more episodes of this than that and that as a kid. Not that I was a big fan of it, but I would watch it. And he is decent. He is a decent Spider-Man. Flawed. He's very, I guess, fun. He's just he's like this, but like, he's not bad at all. I don't really have not much of a grudge. He's just not as iconic or more prominent than these two. Like, this guy has more struggles, and you could see the Peter Parker struggle element in this show way more than this guy does, honestly. He's just, his goal was to be goofy, and that's alright. That's a good thing. This show I didn't watch, no. I want to put it on the Watch November, but I have seen a couple scenes on YouTube, and I don't want to have that judge the character, but if I want to put it on him, even when I haven't seen the show, I want to give the show a chance. I really want to watch these Spider-Man shows to see how they work. But honestly, in my pre-prediction, if I've seen this full show, without the context of this being treated like the Teen Titans Go of Spider-Man, or these two are like the Teen Titans Go of Spectacular Spider-Man, but 2 scenes alone on YouTube is not enough for me, honestly. And I don't think anyone's going to count that. So, but if I put him on now, I'd put him on decent. You know what show they should have put on? Spidey and Friends. They should put that, because I don't watch and don't remember. I haven't even seen the show, but I thought it'd be funny. We saved this guy for last in terms of 2D shows. Josh Keaton, Spectacular Spider-Man. I really like him. I really do. I have no problems with him. He is, understandably, the best Peter Parker in animation TV. But there's something I feel wrong. I don't know. Although I see the appeal, he is a high great. The reason why is because, unfortunately, he didn't have enough to work with. He had a lot to do. He got everything right. He barely goated. Barely goated. Trust me. The reason why I'm only saying this, the only reason he is on great, is because Josh Keaton walked so Urian Lowenthal can run. I'm sorry. I know he only had 1 game or 2 games or 3 coming up now, but he is basically, in 1 game, he did everything Spectacular Spider-Man did and more. Because Urian Lowenthal, in 1 game, actually had emotional scenes to work with. Urian Lowenthal actually had a lot more range to work with in terms of voice acting. And you can see that. In 1 game at least. Just 1 game. And this is why, the only reason why this guy is not ungoated. He had scenes in Spider-Verse. I will put him ungoated, but it was still not enough, honestly. Like, he's very calm. Not to say I don't like him being calm. It's great. I'd rather do situations calmly. How great is it that my childhood hero and my favorite superhero is voiced by the same guy? And for the anime weebs, he also voiced Sasuke. I don't watch Naruto, but that's from what I heard. Also, in terms of the face, I want to get this out of the way, and I know a lot of people still, to this day, are like the Zack Snyder fan reaction of freaking Peter Parker face. Listen, this is how I see the fan base. The fan base couldn't praise how the Insomniac verse is being handled. Not enough. They can't praise it enough. Why would they suddenly change the faces? To piss you off. Now, I get it because you're not used to it. You had a full game when you dealt with this guy. You had a full game when you dealt with the previous face. They think the reason why is because they want to make it as comic accurate as possible in terms of certain things they want to put. Like, sure, they want to change some story elements, but they also want to be true to source material as much as they want to be. Like, they pick and choose. Like, for example, Peter Parker's become a teacher in the 2nd game. I'm such a nerd, but thank you. Like, cool. You're doing something like that. Can't wait till Lund shows up and beats him up. No, that's not gonna happen. John Romita Sr., RIP the GOAT, literally drew him like a Chad. For the Christ's sake, in Civil War, he legit had a light skin stare. It's like saying you can't have Norman Osborn in fades in live action, even though no one complained about him having fades in the comics. Point being, Yuri Lowenthal's great. This guy, even though I never played the game, I don't even have a PlayStation. I just know what happens in the story, because, I don't have a PlayStation, so why would I wait years to play? This, I would do. Pause. Do mid. Web of Shadow Spider-Man is painfully average. The game was great, but we all know why he's mid. His freaking voice.
Where's Cage and his search party? Who? The civilian volunteers! Pretty redhead, arm and a cast! You are no help!
Hold that APC!
This is a joke, right?
This is one of those voices where it doesn't hold up at all, but you would get used to it as the game goes on. But it is painfully average, unfortunately. Shadow Dimension Spider-Man. Now, Shadow Dimensions was my game, bro. It was my nostalgia childhood game. Mainly because Blitzfinger played it, and I wanted it for years, but then I finally found it at the age of 13. I don't know, God knows how many years I found it later on a GameStop, and then I finally bought it and beat it all in one day. Yeah, and I just beat it all. No pause there. Neil Patrick Harris returns as Prime Peter Parker. Oh, Prime Peter Parker in Shadow Dimensions. He is decent. Age of Time Spider-Man, easily better than him. Not because of Josh King, because of how the work he had to do with the drama he had to go through in this game. Like, his revelations and trials and stuff works well. So he's easily... No, this is on the edge of greatness. This is already... You know what? He's great. He's going to be very low grade. He's very low grade. Now we head on to the movies. Even though we already got this guy as a movie. But whatever. Alright, so we start with the Spider-Verse Peters. This guy didn't have much to work with, unfortunately. He seems charismatic, but we'll put him on decent. Like, we'll put him on decent. He's good. He's a cool Spider-Man. He seems very helpful. But he didn't have a lot to work with. He literally only had a couple scenes. Now, Peter B. Parker is great. He's very charismatic. He is great. He's funny. He obviously had some struggles. He is great. And he's very charismatic about it. He's very much in the great category. He's in the great category. Now to the big three. The biggest arguments of the entire Spider-Man fandom. Raimi's Peter. I know a lot of you want me to put on goated. I know he might be goated just because he started the cinematic Spider-Man franchise and laid the groundwork for a lot of these. I know he's barely goated. I see the appeal. I feel the power. Feels good. Something else. But he's not as good as Yuri. I do really like Raimi's Peter Parker. I really do. It's just... I don't feel it as much as everyone else. People just feel it because of their childhoods. And don't get me wrong, I watched this when I was a little kid too. But a little boy as well. Like, I was born in between the first two movies. Of course, Bully Maguire is goated, so that's another excuse for him to put him on goated. Andrew Garfield. First movie, his emotion was goated. His power. The second movie, he was great too. His role was goated. His role was goated. I will give him that. He's low goated. Easily. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is the best Spider-Man, this is the best Peter Parker. I can see it. Yeah, I already saw it. Tom Holland. Now, a lot of people will want to put him on mid or decent. But I will also put him on goated. I want to put him on either high grade or goated. And that's the shame for people who don't understand about these movies. Stanley literally says Tom's movies and his interpretation of Peter Parker is what I've always seen when I wrote them. Like, sure, he praised the other two, but he actually is like, oh, this is actually how I wrote it. Like, it actually feels like the most like how I wrote it. The other two movies focus more on the drama, which the drama didn't focus until, like the college years. And we're in high school, so... And obviously he has a more friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in the first movie. A little people crapped on Far From Home. I get it, for certain reasons. Like, the only thing I don't forgive it on is the whole, not be Iron Man anymore, and then put the music on. That's the only thing I don't forgive. But aside from that, everything else is great about that movie. Like, and I forgive a lot of the stuff they do, and for the whole Tony thing. They had to do it for the sake. Like, realistically, it makes sense how the story would play out, but in terms of Peter Parker, a lot of people treated how he's handled like crap. Far From Home is literally a light version of Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man is literally like, hey, everyone I care about knows I'm Spider-Man. And then we'll see life or death situations every day. And that's literally what this is. Which, speaking of this guy, he is goated. He's like literally Far From Home Peter Parker, but like much more dramatic. Well, better written, obviously. It was infinitely better written. Not to discredit this movie. Not as good as Yuri Lowenthal. Maybe because he actually is more in line of the canon Peter Parker, or this guy is just his own thing. Now this guy easily goated because he's actually the one. And I know a lot of people crap on his comics now. Not to say I defend him. I do not defend any current stuff right now, or have been, or the freaking drama that's been going on. Is like the worst moment in Peter Parker's life, like the worst controversy in Peter Parker's life. It's not like Clone Saga or One More Day or Sins Past or any of that exists. I just don't care. Because as a Spider-Man fanatic, I just stopped caring. Oh, Spider-Man's being treated bad again? Well, no news there. Bad storytelling is literally like Spider-Man's real name at this point. But it is what it is. I should have put him on first, obviously, because a ton of obvious, bro. Okay, who's my favorite? Personal favorite. Not the GOAT. Who's my favorite? He's the greatest. Not the best. He's obviously flawed as freak because of his comic arcs, but who is my favorite interpretation? Oh, how fitting. How fitting these two are on top of each other. I just noticed that. But I have more of a soft spot for this one. Don't know why, I just do. And maybe because of the suffering underratedness. I don't think Spectacular Spider-Man's underrated anymore because of how much praise or how much he's claimed to be underrated. These two feel this is underrated, this is underappreciated. This is arguably now my favorite accurate take. Small little update on this, by the way. I did change the tier list because I feel like I realized some things. Number one nitpick I have with this guy is that he's a technological, he relies on technology a little too much. But whatever, that's just a nitpick. And these three I put him down here because I feel like I just gave him like a live action privilege. And it just doesn't make sense. So I'm just putting them all on great. So yeah, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Here, mainly because this guy had more to do than this guy, and I think that's it. This guy's still goated now, but this guy's the GOAT. So hope to see you in the next one. See ya.